Okay, so when you think of the world's most digitally advanced societies, I bet your mind jumps straight to the Nordic countries, right? Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway, Iceland. I mean, by almost every measure, they are the undisputed leaders in the digital world. So you'd think their entire government, especially their justice system, would be this futuristic, high-tech machine. Well, that's where things get really interesting.
And hey, it's not just a feeling. The data completely backs this up. Just look at the European Union's own report card for digital progress, the DESI index. Finland is number 1, Denmark number 2, Sweden number 4. These guys are the benchmark. They're the countries everyone else looks to for inspiration. But this is where our story really begins.
Because get this, despite all of that incredible digital skill, researchers Alina Hruba and Maria Claudia Solarte Vasquez made this pretty shocking observation back in 2022. They said the courts in Scandinavia are not at the forefront of the digital transformation. I mean, what a disconnect, right? How can the world's digital leaders be lagging in such a critical area?
So what is really going on here? Is it a failure of technology? Are they short on cash? Or is there something much, much deeper happening? That's the puzzle we're going to piece together in this explainer. To get to the bottom of this, we're not going to look at the latest app or some new piece of software. Nope. We've got to go way back. Because the answer, you see, is all rooted in centuries of shared history that has created this unique and really powerful legal culture across the whole region.
And this timeline really shows you this incredibly complex web of connections. For centuries, these kingdoms were all tangled up through unions like the Kalmar Union, through wars, through alliances. You had Sweden ruling Finland and Denmark ruling Norway and Iceland. This long, complicated history forged a deep sense of shared identity and a remarkably similar way of looking at the law. And all of that shared experience gave birth to what experts call the Scandinavian legal culture. Now, this isn't some formal rule book you can look up. Think of it more like a shared mindset, a set of ideas and values about what justice should look like, all built on a foundation of pragmatism and centuries of working together to solve problems.
So what's at the heart of this mindset? Well, it boils down to a few key values. They're all about what works in the real world, not just abstract theory. They believe laws should be simple, in plain language anyone can get. Accessibility and social welfare are just baked into the system. And here's the big one for our story. They focus on the quality of a verdict, not just the speed. This is a culture that values careful, deliberate action over just changing things for the sake of change.
Okay, so you've got these ancient values. How on earth do they fit into our super-fast digital age? Well, it turns out they don't just fit in, they actually drive how these countries use technology in their courtrooms.
And this right here is so important to understand. The Nordic countries aren't anti-tech. Not at all. They're just playing a completely different game. Instead of a tech-first approach that's all about speed and disruption, they have a court-centered approach. It's gradual, it's principled, and it asks, how can technology serve our core mission of delivering quality justice, rather than asking, how can we change the justice system to fit this new technology?
Let's look at Denmark, for instance. This is fascinating. They're not just scanning old paper forms. They've gone a step further and created something called digital-ready legislation. So now every single new law is checked to make sure it can be easily understood and processed by a computer. They're literally simplifying the legal code itself to make it work in a digital world.
And you see this same way of thinking pop up in different flavors all across the region. Finland, they've gone big on integrating their court and prosecution systems. Iceland is all about making things radically easy for the user. Then you've got Norway and Sweden, who are taking it a bit slower, really valuing things like in-person hearings and making sure tech is adopted responsibly, not just quickly.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. What about the pandemic? Didn't that just force everyone online overnight? And yeah, it did. But for the Nordic countries, COVID was more of a practical accelerator, not a philosophical reset. It didn't change their core strategy, it just hit the fast-forward button on adopting tools that already fit into their principled way of doing things. And boy, did we see it accelerate. Get this, in Sweden, the use of video technology in court hearings shot up to 4,500 calls a week. It proved that their systems could absolutely adapt and scale when they had to, but without throwing their core values out the window. So, where does this leave them? What does this deliberate, almost cautious pace mean for the future, especially as the whole European Union is pushing for more digital integration? Is this slow approach a weakness, or is it secretly their biggest strength? And this quote from the researchers really nails their whole motivation. For them, the ultimate goal isn't just about efficiency or processing cases faster. At the end of the day, it's about making sure that technology serves the fundamental principles of justice and leads to good, reliable verdicts.
So here's the big takeaway. Their apparent slowness might actually be a huge long-term advantage. Because they share centuries of legal history, they already have this kind of social interoperability baked right in. By focusing on getting the foundation right, they avoid the risks of jumping on trends too early. They might just end up being better prepared for a deep and meaningful integration with the rest of Europe than countries that just rush to adopt the newest tech.
And really what the Nordic approach does is it forces all of us to step back and ask a really fundamental question. What's the true goal of digitizing our courts? Is it simply about making them more efficient, like an assembly line for cases, or is it about making them more effective at delivering justice?
And that's the question I want to leave you with. The Nordic Paradox. It isn't really about being slow. It's about making a deliberate choice. A choice between speed and quality, between disruption and deliberation. And it's a choice that challenges all of us to think about what we value most, and what we might be willing to leave behind in the race to build the future of justice.